My name is Anna. I am 26 years old. I live in Washington. I work in an office. It is a good job. I like the work. I like the people. I like the office. It is a quiet place. It is a safe place. When I come to work, I feel calm. I do not feel stress. I do not feel fear. I feel ready. I feel happy. Before this job, I worked in many places. Some jobs were loud. Some jobs were messy. Some places had no rules. People came late. People shouted. Some people talked too much. Some people did nothing. The boss was rude. No one cared. I was always tired. I was always sad. I wanted to leave. I wanted to find peace. 2 years ago, I got a new job. I was scared at first, but on my first day, something felt different. The building was big. The people were quiet. The floor was clean. The lights were soft. The air was fresh. A woman at the front desk smiled at me. She gave me a badge. She said, "Welcome." I smiled back. My heart felt warm. I took the elevator to the 3rd floor. The office door opened. I saw people working. No one was loud. No one was angry. They all looked busy. They all looked calm. My boss came to meet me. His name is James. He is not strict. He is not cold. He is kind and fair. He said, "Anna, we are happy to have you here." I said, "Thank you." He showed me my desk. It was clean and simple. I had a chair, a screen, a small plant, and a lamp. I sat down. I felt ready. I felt safe. I looked around. Everyone was working. Some were typing. Some were reading. Some were writing. All were focused. No one was talking too much. No one was wasting time. I liked it. At 12:30 it was lunchtime. People stood up. They walked to the kitchen. Some brought food from home. Some ate salad. Some had soup. I brought rice and eggs. I sat at a small table. A woman said hello. Her name is Lucy. She said, "It is your first day?" I said, "Yes." She smiled. She said, "It is a good place. You will like it." I said, "I think so too." We ate slowly. Then we went back to work. Work starts at 9. It ends at 5. People come on time. They do not come late. They do not leave early. There is no rush, but there is no delay. Everyone knows their job. Everyone respects time. There is no fight, no drama, no stress. When the clock says 5, people turn off their screens. They say goodbye. They go home. I do the same. Every day feels the same. But I like it. I wake up at 7. I leave home at 7:45. I take the bus. I listen to soft music. I reach the office at 8:40. I sit at my desk. I start work at 9. I check emails. I open my tasks. I write reports. I fix numbers. I send files. I do my job. No one checks me too much. No one stands behind me. James trusts us. He says, "Do your best." That is enough. Sometimes I stop to drink tea. There is green tea in the kitchen. There is coffee too. But I like tea. It is warm. It is soft. I hold the cup and look out the window. I see trees. I see cars. I see the sky. It is quiet. It is still. I breathe in. I breathe out. I feel peace. Some people ask me, "Isn't your job boring?" I say, "No." They say, "You do the same thing every day." I say, "Yes, and that is why I like it." I do not need big things. I do not need to travel. I do not need to talk all day. I like simple work. I like quiet work. I like to finish a task and start a new one. We have meetings, but they are short. We talk for 10 minutes. We make a plan. Then we go back to work. No one talks just to talk. If we speak, it is clear and short. No one shouts. No one gets angry. We listen as we answer. Then we move on. Lucy sits near me. She works on design. Her desk is always clean. She writes notes on paper. She listens to soft music. She does not talk much, but when she speaks, it is kind. She told me, "I have worked here for 6 years." I asked, "Why do you stay?" She smiled. She said, "Because I sleep well every night." That made me smile too. Mark is in my team. He checks numbers. He is fast and quiet. He drinks black coffee. He wears the same blue shirt every Monday. One day I asked why. He said, "It helps me focus. I do not waste time choosing clothes." I said, "That is smart." He said, "We save time so we can use time." I liked that. Some offices are loud. Some offices are cold. Some people lie. Some people fight. But not here. Here, we work. We smile. We rest. Then we work again. That is all. It is simple. It is clear. On Fridays, we have fruit in the kitchen. Apples, oranges, bananas. We all eat together. No one takes too much. No one makes noise. It is small, but it feels nice. James comes to eat fruit too. He laughs softly. He asks about our week. He says, "Thank you for your good work." That feels good to hear. I go home at 5:10. I walk to the bus stop. I take the bus home. I cook dinner. I read a book. I sleep at 10. My sleep is deep. I do not dream of work. I do not worry. I feel free. Some people wait for Saturday. I do not. I like my weekdays. They give me a rhythm, a soft path, a quiet song. I do not want more. I do not need more. I found peace. I found it in a quiet office, in clean desks, in kind people, in a job that fits me. I never thought I would feel this way, but I do, and I hope I can stay here for many years. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. I have worked at this office for 2 years now. Time moves fast, but each day feels full. Every morning, I wake up before my alarm. I brush my teeth. I eat breakfast. I dress in quiet clothes. I check my bag. I check my keys. I walk to the bus stop with a calm mind. The street is quiet. The air is fresh. People walk fast, but I do not rush. I reach work on time. I greet the guard. He nods. I take the elevator to the 3rd floor. When I reach my desk, the room is still. Some people are already working. Some are sipping tea. Some are reading emails. No one is loud. No one is lazy. I open my notebook. I check my tasks. Some days I work on sales numbers. Some days I help write monthly reports. Some days I make small charts. I like when the work is clear. I like when the goals are simple. I do not ask for new tasks. I do not ask for change. I do not want to lead a team. I do not want to manage people. I only want to do my part well. I want to go home with a quiet mind. On Mondays, we have a short team check. It is at 9:30. James stands in front of the small whiteboard. He talks about the week. He smiles. He asks questions. No one talks too long. No one complains. After the meeting, we go back to our seats. That is how we start the week. It gives the team direction. It feels like opening a map. Once a month, we have a team lunch. We sit in the big lunchroom. Everyone brings food. I bring rice and chicken. Lucy brings soup. Mark brings fruit. We eat and talk. We do not talk about work. We talk about pets, books, and hobbies. Sometimes we laugh, but not too loud. The lights are soft. The chairs are clean. The plates are white. We eat. We thank each other. Then we return to work. The office has good air. The fans work. The windows are big. Light comes in. The walls are white and soft gray. My desk is near the window. I can see the sky. I can see birds on a wire. When I take a short break, I look out. I drink green tea. I eat a biscuit. Then I go back to my work. That is my rhythm. That is enough. Lucy once told me she likes the quiet. I said, "Me too." We do not need to talk much. We work side by side. Some days we do not say anything, but I feel her there. I feel her peace. That gives me peace too. Mark does not smile often, but he is kind. If my screen has a problem, he helps. He does not say much. He fixes it and walks away. I like that. No drama. Just help. On Thursdays, we have a cleaning hour. We all clean our desks. We wipe the screens. We put papers in the bin. We throw away old food. We water the plants. We dust the windows. It takes 20 minutes. Then we sit back down. The room smells fresh. Everything feels new again. I like clean things. They help my mind stay clear. James sometimes brings cookies. He leaves them in the kitchen. He does not say it. He does not want praise. But we know it is from him. We eat one or two. We smile. We say thank you. He does not need to lead with words. He leads with care. That is a good kind of leader. I do not want to change jobs. I do not dream of big cities. I do not want to move. Some of my old friends changed jobs 5 times. They say, "We want growth." I understand. But for me, this is growth. Growth is not always loud. It can be quiet too. I grow in peace. I grow in time. I grow in soft routine. I do not want to break it. One Friday, there was a power cut. The lights turned off. The screens went dark. For a moment, no one moved. Then James came in and said, "Let's take a break." We all went to the lunchroom. We sat down. The sun came in through the big windows. Mark opened a window for air. Lucy poured water. Someone took out a small speaker. We played soft music. It was a strange afternoon, but it felt good. We rested. We talked. We shared cookies. After 1 hour, the power came back. We smiled. We stood up and went back to work. That day stayed in my mind, not because of the power cut, but because we did not panic. We did not complain. We stayed calm. That showed me the truth. The people here are strong, but in a quiet way. I want to be like that too. In the evening, I sometimes think about my old jobs. I remember noise, pain, and fear. I remember rude people. I remember long hours. But now, I feel lucky. I feel safe. I feel strong. I have a chair, a desk, and a routine. I have kind people around me. I do not need more. I live in a small apartment. It is just 10 minutes from the office. I do not need a car. I walk sometimes. I carry my lunch in a small blue bag. At night, I water my plants. I make tea. I read. I sleep. In the morning, I do it again. Some may say it is boring, But for me, it is peace. In the second year, I got a small raise. Not much, but enough. James gave it with a smile. He said, "Good job, Anna." That was enough for me. He did not give a long speech. He did not need to. I took the paper. I said thank you. Then I went back to work. Work is not my whole life, but it is a big part, and this part is good. It is clean, simple, and fair. I know some people search for joy in travel. Some search in big money. Some search in dreams. But I found joy in my chair, in my tea, in quiet work. People who speak with care. That is not a small thing. That is everything. It was winter when I started my third year at the office. The mornings were cold. The windows had soft white fog. I wore my brown coat and long scarf. My fingers were cold on the bus. But I still liked my routine. I still looked forward to my day. The cold air outside made the warm office feel even better. When I came in, I made tea and sat by the window. I started my day with quiet hands and a full heart. One day in January, we got a new worker. Her name is Emma. She is 24. She sat 2 desks away from me. On her first day, she looked nervous. Her hand shook a little. She dropped her pen. I remembered how I felt on my first day. I gave her a small smile. Later, I showed her how to find the task list. I told her where the tea was. She said thank you. Her voice was soft. After that, we became work friends. Emma asked many questions. She asked about emails, reports, and small steps. She wanted to learn. She did not talk too much. She was kind and quiet. Over time, she found her rhythm. She started coming early. She started drinking green tea too. She kept her desk neat. Her work was clear and simple. One day she said, "I feel calm here." I said, "Me too." There were some small changes in the office that year. We got new chairs. We got a new printer. We got better lights in the lunchroom. But the people stayed the same. The rules stayed the same. The peace stayed. And that was the most important thing. Some people think a quiet job means a small life. I do not agree. My life is not small. It is full in a different way. I wake up and I know what to do. I see the same faces, and I feel safe. I drink tea and feel warm inside. I look out the window and think, this is enough. At work, we talk about tasks, but we also talk about small things. On rainy days, we talk about soup. On sunny days, we talk about walks. On busy days, we talk less. We just focus. There is no need to force words. Silence is welcome here. That is rare in the world today. Once a woman from another team came to our floor. She said, "It's too quiet here." I smiled. I said, "That's how we like it." She laughed. Then she left. After she was gone, I looked around. Everyone was working. The clock ticked softly. I heard the sound of typing. I felt proud. One day, Mark finished a big project. James came to him and said, "Well done." That was all. Mark smiled. He stood up. He made tea. He shared a biscuit with Emma. No big party. No big noise. Just respect. That is how we celebrate here. That year, I went through some hard days at home. My water heater broke. My rent went up. My mother had a cold. Some days I felt tired. But work stayed the same. Work gave me balance. When I walked into the office, I left the worry at the door. I sat at my desk and my mind became quiet again. I think that is the best thing a job can give. A place to rest your mind. On Friday afternoons, the light comes through the windows in a soft way. I look out and see the street. The trees move in the wind. The cars stop and go. But inside, it is still. I hear the soft hum of machines, the small beep of messages, the tiny clink of mugs in the kitchen. It is like music. It is like home. One Friday, Lucy told us she was moving to another city. Her husband got a new job there. She was sad to leave. We were sad too. But we smiled. We gave her a plant for her new desk. We said, "You made this place better." She said, "So did you." The next Monday, her desk was empty. It felt strange, but we kept going. That is life. Things change, but the rhythm stays. Emma now sits at Lucy's old desk. She is more confident now. She helps new people. She makes good reports. She comes early and leaves on time. One day she said, "This job changed me." I smiled and said, "Yes, it does that." I do not look at the clock all day. I do not wait for 5 onguak. I do not feel stuck. I feel steady. I feel proud of my simple work. Each file, each number, each line. It all matters. I may not be famous. I may not be rich. But I am content. After work, I go to the small store near my home. I buy bread, fruit, and eggs. The shop owner knows me. He says, "Long day?" I say, "A good day." At night I cook. I eat. I read. Then I sleep well. That is my life. It is not loud, but it is full of peace. Some people want to lead. Some people want to build big things. I just want to work with care. I want to live with calm. I want my heart to stay light. And here, I can do that. Every morning when I walk into the office, I feel the same quiet joy. I sit at my desk. I open my computer. I take a deep breath. And I start again. I have found peace. And I found it at work. If this story touched your heart, Don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon. My name is Lauren. I am 31 years old. I believed love was about care, patience, and giving. I thought if I gave my time, my heart, and my trust, the other person would do the same. But that is not always true. Some people take your love and give you silence in return. I met Ryan at a small party. I didn't want to go, but a friend asked me, so I went. Ryan was quiet. He stood near the kitchen, holding a drink and looking at nothing in particular. He wasn't like the others. He didn't try to talk a lot or show off. When I stood next to him, he looked at me and asked, "Do you also hate parties?" I laughed and said, "Yes." That was how it started. We spoke for 20 minutes. He asked what I did. I told him I worked at a clothing store. He said he worked at a car garage. He fixed cars and liked working alone. I liked that about him. He didn't talk too much, but when he did, he listened. After that day, we sent messages. Then we started meeting on weekends. We walked around the lake. We ate simple food from food trucks. We didn't do anything big, but I liked the time with him. He didn't try to impress me. He said he liked simple things. I said I did too. After 8 months, he asked me to move in with him. "I don't have much," he said, "but I want you near me." I was touched. I moved into his small flat. It wasn't fancy, but I was happy. I thought we were building a life together. At first, things were okay. He wasn't a man who gave flowers or said sweet words, but he was there. We ate dinner together. He asked how my day was. We watched shows and laughed. But after some time, he changed. Slowly. It wasn't sudden. He just stopped asking questions. He came home and went straight to the sofa. He turned on the TV and didn't speak. Sometimes I asked about his day, and he said, "It was fine." That was all. I told myself maybe he was tired from work. I tried to make things better. One night I cooked his favorite meal. I wore a dress I hadn't worn in months. When he came home, I smiled and said, "Dinner is ready." He looked at the table and said, "What's the occasion?" I said, "Nothing. I just wanted to do something nice." He sat down and said, "I'm not that hungry." I sat across from him and tried to eat, but I had no appetite left. That night, I cried in the bathroom. I didn't want him to hear me. The next morning, I asked, "Is something wrong between us?" He didn't look at me. He said, "You think too much." That was all. I went to work that day with a heavy heart. At the shop, I smiled at customers, but inside, I was cold. I thought love was care, but he made me feel like I was the problem, like I was asking for too much. Weeks passed. I kept quiet. I didn't want to make him angry or push him away, but I also felt alone. I was in the same room with him, but it felt like I was invisible. One day I came home early. I had bought him a small gift, a new phone charger, because his old one was broken. I thought he would smile, but when I walked in, he didn't hear me. He was on a phone call, laughing. I stopped in the hallway and listened. He said, "Don't worry. She never asks anything." My hands felt cold. I walked in. He looked at me and didn't look surprised. He just said, "You're home early." That night, he didn't tell me who he was talking to. He didn't try to explain. I asked, "Who was that?" And he said, "Just someone from work." Then he went to the kitchen. I stood there thinking, he didn't lie well. He didn't even try to care. That was worse than any answer he could have given. I didn't sleep much that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. I remembered how I used to laugh more. I used to call my sister every other day. I used to bake on weekends and play music while cleaning. Now, I barely spoke. I went to work, came home, cooked, and stayed silent. I didn't listen to music anymore. I didn't call anyone. I thought love meant giving everything, but I gave too much. I gave and gave until I lost myself. The next week, I started to change, just a little. I didn't tell Ryan. I didn't do anything big. I just did one small thing each day that made me feel human again. I took a longer walk home. I smiled at people. I ate lunch in the park instead of at my desk. One day, a customer told me, "You helped me find the perfect dress." "Thank you." I smiled and said, "You're welcome." And I meant it. When I came home that day, Ryan looked at me and said, "You seem different." I said, "I'm tired of being sad." He looked confused but said nothing. And that was okay. That night, I didn't ask him about his day. I made food just for myself. I listened to soft music while I ate. It wasn't loud. It wasn't a fight. But something inside me was waking up. I didn't leave him. I didn't pack my bags. I stayed. But I stopped waiting for him to see me. I started seeing myself again. I stopped trying to fix something that he didn't want to fix. I gave myself time. I didn't need to run. I just needed to breathe. I didn't know what would happen next. But I knew one thing. I didn't want to feel small anymore. I wanted to feel like myself again. The days went by, and I started to feel different. I still lived in the same house, and Ryan was still there. Nothing big had changed on the outside. But inside me, something had started to grow again. I was not smiling all the time, but I was thinking more clearly. I was not happy, but I was not as lost as before. One morning, I woke up before Ryan. I sat in the kitchen and made tea. The window was open. The street outside was quiet. I looked at the trees and listened to the sound of birds. I had not done that in a long time. I used to enjoy small things, like quiet mornings and hot tea. That day, I sat at the table and just breathed. I didn't need to speak. I just wanted peace. Ryan walked in. He looked at me and said, "Why are you up so early?" I said, "I just wanted to sit here for a while." He didn't say anything else. He took a cup, poured some tea, and sat down. We didn't speak. He looked at his phone. I looked at the sky. There was nothing to say. I didn't expect him to notice me anymore. At work, I tried harder to focus. I still helped customers at the shop. I still smiled when I could. One of the women I worked with asked me, "You look better these days. Is something good happening?" I said, "No, not really. I'm just trying to take care of myself." She smiled and said, "That's good. You should." That small talk meant a lot to me. It reminded me that I was still a person, not just someone sitting in a house with a man who did not see me. At home, Ryan stayed the same. He came in, took off his shoes, sat on the sofa, and turned on the TV. We ate in silence. I cleaned the plates. He didn't ask how I was. I didn't expect him to. But now, I didn't wait for his questions. I had stopped hoping for his words. That was the change. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. One evening, I sat outside the house after work. I sat on the steps, just watching people walk by. It was cool outside. I wrapped my arms around myself. A little girl walked past me with her mother. She looked at me and smiled. I smiled back. It was just a second, but it made my chest feel warm. I missed that feeling, being seen, even for a moment. That night, Ryan came home late. He said, "Traffic was bad." I said, "Okay." He looked at me and said, "You don't care anymore, do you?" I looked at him and answered slowly, "I used to care too much." He frowned but didn't say anything. He went to the other room. I stayed in the kitchen and finished my tea. I didn't feel angry. I just felt calm. The next morning, I made eggs and toast. I placed one plate for myself and didn't make extra. Ryan walked in and asked, "No food for me?" I said, "You never asked." He rolled his eyes and walked out. But I didn't feel guilty. I had made food for him every day for years. That morning, I chose to make something just for me. Later that week, I started doing little things again. I went to the market alone and bought flowers. I placed them in a small glass by the window. They were yellow and bright. Ryan didn't say anything when he saw them, but I didn't care. I didn't do it for him. One Sunday, I cleaned the house and played music. I had not listened to music in a long time. I used to love it. I danced a little while cleaning. I smiled. I felt alive, even if just for 10 minutes. When Ryan walked in and saw me dancing, he looked confused. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Cleaning." He didn't say anything else. He left the room. I knew he didn't like to see me happy when he was not part of it, but I didn't stop. I kept the music on. I cleaned every room and sang as I moved. The house was the same. The man was the same. But I was not the same. That was enough for now. One night Ryan asked, "Are you going to stay like this? Cold and quiet?" I looked at him and said, "I am not cold. I am just tired." He said, "Tired of what?" I looked at him and replied, "Tired of not being seen. Tired of giving and getting nothing." He laughed and said, "You're being dramatic." I didn't reply. I stood up and walked to the kitchen. I didn't need to fight. I didn't need to shout. I was not there to prove anything. I had already lost too much time trying to be heard. Now, I just wanted peace. That night, I sat in bed and read a small book. It had been sitting on the shelf for months. I turned the pages slowly. It was a simple story, but I enjoyed it. I felt calm as I read. Ryan turned off the light and turned his back to me. I kept reading with the lamp on my side. The next few days were quiet. Ryan didn't speak much. He stayed in his room longer. He came home later. I didn't ask where he was. I didn't feel scared or jealous. I didn't care the way I used to. I had let go of that pain. One afternoon, after work, I passed a mirror in a shop window. I stopped and looked at myself. My face was still tired, but my eyes looked different. I stood up straight. I looked like someone who was trying, someone who was coming back to life. That evening, I made a simple dinner, just rice and vegetables. I ate alone. Ryan came home and looked at the food. He asked, "No dinner for two?" I said, "You can make your own if you like." He looked at me for a second, then said nothing. I had not become strong overnight. I still felt small sometimes, but I was learning to stand again, one quiet day at a time, and every small step, every little choice I made for myself helped me feel more like me. The days became easier, not happy, not perfect, just easier. I still lived in the same house. I still saw Ryan every day, but I was different now. I didn't wait for him. I didn't cry in silence. I made choices for myself. Small choices, quiet ones, but they helped me grow. One Saturday morning, I cleaned my room and opened the window. The air was fresh. I looked outside and saw the sun. I stood there for a few minutes. I felt calm. I didn't feel sad or scared. I just felt peaceful. That feeling was new to me. For a long time, I lived with fear. I always thought Ryan would change. I waited for love from someone who didn't know how to give it. But now I stopped waiting. Ryan came into the kitchen while I was making breakfast. He looked tired. He said, "Are you going somewhere today?" I said, "No, just staying home." He looked around and said, "You've been acting strange these days." I said nothing. I took my tea and walked to the living room. He didn't understand what was happening, but I did. I had stopped giving him all of me. I didn't ask about his day anymore. I didn't wait for his smile or his voice. I just lived. And that was enough for now. At work, I spoke more with customers. I helped a woman find a jacket. she said. "You are very kind." That made me smile. I used to feel too small to be seen. Now I was seen. Even if only for a moment, it still mattered. One day, Ryan didn't come home until very late. I heard the door open after midnight. He walked in, looked at me, and said, "Still awake?" I said, "Yes." He asked, "Why are you always so calm now?" I looked at him and said, "Because I stopped trying to make you love me." He looked away. He didn't speak. He walked to the bedroom and closed the door. The next morning, I woke up early and left for work. I didn't leave a note. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't feel the need to explain. When I came back home, the house was quiet. Ryan was on the sofa. He didn't look at me. I walked past him, placed my bag on the chair, and sat at the table with my cup of tea. He finally spoke. "So, is this what we are now?" I looked at him and asked, "What do you mean?" He said, "You don't care about this anymore." I said, "I cared for a long time. I gave everything. I lost myself. Now I am learning to be myself again." He didn't reply. For the next few weeks, we lived like that. He did what he wanted. I did what I needed to feel strong. I didn't try to fix anything. I didn't start fights. But I didn't stay quiet either. If something made me sad or upset, I said it. Not to hurt him, but to speak for myself. My voice was soft, but it was mine. Then, one day, Ryan sat across from me and said, "I don't know who you are anymore." I looked at him and replied, "I'm someone who learned to stop waiting for love from the wrong person." He looked down. He stayed quiet for a long time. Then he said, "You were always too good for me." That was the first time he said something true. He didn't ask me to stay. He didn't say sorry, but I didn't need that anymore. I had already made my decision. I didn't want to live like that for the rest of my life. I wanted to wake up and feel free. I wanted to smile without fear. I wanted to be me again. 1 week later, I packed my things. Just the basics. Some clothes, some books, and a few small things that made me feel safe. Ryan watched me but didn't say a word. When I was done, I stood near the door and looked at him. I said, "I hope you learn to love better one day, but I won't wait for that." He didn't answer. He just looked at the floor. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. I felt a soft wind on my face. The street was quiet. I stood there for a moment and breathed in. For the first time in a long time, I felt light. Not because I had someone, not because someone chose me, but because I chose myself. I moved into a small room not far from work. It was quiet, clean, and mine. I cooked simple food. I played music while I cleaned. I read books again. I made tea every morning. I talked to my sister on the phone. She asked me, "Are you okay now?" I said, "I'm not perfect, but I'm getting better." That was true. I didn't hate Ryan. I didn't feel anger anymore. I just knew I could not stay small for someone who didn't see my worth. I had been kind. I had been patient. But I had also been forgotten in my own life. Now, I was learning to remember who I was. Some nights were still quiet. Some mornings were still hard. But I kept going. Step by step. One small good thing each day. I was not looking for love. I was looking for peace. And I was finding it slowly in the sound of the morning wind, the first sip of warm tea, and the strength of my own voice. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.